It happened so fast that no one could breathe. One moment, the chemistry lab was filled with the usual chatter of restless teenagers. The next, a towering senior named Mark had his hand wrapped tightly around Miss Carter's throat, slamming her against the wall. The glass beakers rattled. Gas hissed from an open burner. Everyone froze, except for Miss Carter. Her eyes didn't show fear. They didn't beg for help. They locked on his, sharp and unshaken, as if she'd stared down danger before, the kind that makes this look like child's play. And in the next 5 seconds, something happened that would end Mark's future, turn the school upside down, and make everyone in that room rethink who Miss Carter really was. The teacher they misjudged, Miss Emily Carter, was only in her 2nd year of teaching chemistry at Westbrook High. She was in her early 30s, calm, polite, and never raised her voice. The kind of teacher students thought they could walk all over. Her wardrobe was plain, her hair always tied neatly back, and she carried herself quietly. Most students liked her, but some, like Mark Jensen, saw her as an easy target. Mark was the school's golden boy athlete. Popular with his friends, untouchable in the eyes of most teachers because his father was a wealthy donor to the school. He had a history of pushing boundaries, mocking weaker students, and intimidating anyone who tried to stand in his way. Emily had noticed him picking on quieter students in her class, but every time she addressed it, Mark would smirk, apologize insincerely, and walk away. But that Thursday afternoon, something changed. The lab was noisy, with students mixing solutions for an experiment. Mark and his friends were horsing around at the back, flicking bits of paper at a shy sophomore named Peter. Emily approached them calmly and told them to focus on the work. Mark muttered something under his breath, and when she asked him to repeat it, he stood up, chest puffed out. "You don't tell me what to do," he said, stepping closer. A couple of his friends snickered. Emily held her ground. "That's enough, Mark. Sit down." Maybe it was the tone in her voice, firm but controlled, that set him off. Maybe he was embarrassed in front of his friends. Whatever the reason, he suddenly grabbed her by the throat with one hand and shoved her against the wall. Gas burners hissed nearby, and a few students screamed. But Emily's eyes didn't widen. Her breathing slowed. Something inside her switched, something she had kept hidden for years. She shifted her weight, grabbed his wrist with lightning speed, twisted it behind his back, and pushed him down onto the lab counter in one seamless move. His knees buckled under the pressure. The sound of his gasp filled the room. Everyone was frozen. This wasn't just self-defense. This was precision, the kind of move you see in military training videos. Mark was pinned, unable to move, his face red from both anger and pain. "Let go," she said, her voice low but steady. He struggled, but she tightened her grip, forcing him to stay down until he stopped resisting. Only then did she release him, stepping back as if nothing had happened. "Mark," she said quietly, "we're going to the principal's office." Now, the room was dead silent. Even the students who had been laughing moments earlier stared at her with wide eyes. Nobody had ever seen her like that, and nobody knew why she could do what she just did, except for Emily herself. Pter2. The past she tried to forget. Word spread through the school in minutes. Some students recorded part of the incident on their phones, though none caught the full takedown. By the time Emily reached the principal's office with Mark, the vice principal was already there, looking alarmed. Mark's father arrived within the hour, furious. He accused Emily of assault, demanded she be fired, and threatened to sue the school. Emily stood quietly, letting him speak, but the principal asked for her side. "I acted in self-defense," she said calmly. "Mark initiated physical contact by grabbing my throat and pushing me against the wall. I restrained him using a non-lethal control technique until the threat was over." Her choice of words caught the principal's attention. A control technique. Emily hesitated for a moment. She had spent years keeping that part of her life buried, but now it seemed there was no choice. Before becoming a teacher, Emily Carter had served 8 years in the United States Army, specializing in military police and hand-to-hand combat training. She had been deployed overseas, seen real danger, and worked in high-stakes operations. But after losing a close friend in the line of duty, she left the service, seeking a quieter life, one where she could help people without violence. "I didn't want my past to define me," she explained softly. "But I also won't stand by and let someone endanger me or my students." The room fell silent. Even Mark's father seemed caught off guard. The vice principal spoke first. "Emily, you're saying you were trained for situations like this?" "I was trained for much worse," she said. The school board reviewed the security footage and interviewed the witnesses. Every student who spoke confirmed that Mark had attacked her first. The footage, though grainy, showed the exact moment he grabbed her throat. Mark was suspended for the remainder of the year. The college scouts who had been courting him for a sports scholarship quietly backed away after hearing about the incident. His reputation as the untouchable golden boy vanished almost overnight. In the weeks that followed, Emily noticed something remarkable. Students began treating her, and each other, with more respect. The shy ones walked with a little more confidence, knowing someone truly had their back. Even those who had laughed with Mark before started apologizing for their behavior. One day Peter, the boy Mark had been picking on, stayed after class. "Miss Carter," he said shyly, "I just wanted to say thanks for not letting him get away with it. For standing up for yourself and for us." Emily smiled faintly. "Peter, you never need to thank someone for doing what's right. But you should promise me one thing." "What's that?" "That if you ever see someone in trouble, you don't stay quiet. You step in, even if it's scary." He nodded, eyes determined, and as Emily watched him walk out, she knew that maybe her military past wasn't something to hide. Maybe it was the very thing that could change lives, one act of courage at a time.